What if there was a switch you could flip that immediately upgraded your English? I mean, not just fixing your grammar, which is obviously vital, but changing the whole, the texture of your language.
Right.
Moving you from sounding like a diligent textbook student to, a truly natural, fluent speaker, no matter what the topic is.
That is the big jump, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the difference between sentences that are, technically correct and ideas that actually connect with people.
Exactly.
So many learners just want to get over that hurdle of sounding, well, a bit mechanical.
And that is exactly what we're zeroing in on today. We're looking at the tool that makes that happen, the power of flexible idioms.
And we're not talking about like really obscure old-fashioned sayings you'll never hear.
No, we're talking about those high-utility phrases,
Yeah.
the ones that add color, metaphor, humor, just personality to your speech.
And this is so much more than just, conversational flair. It is a genuine functional necessity for getting to that advanced level. I mean, if you're targeting any high-stakes English exam, especially speaking part, say, you're aiming for an IELTS band 7, 8, or even 9, the rules explicitly say you need to show you can use less common and idiomatic vocabulary.
So it's mandatory. Whether you're in a professional meeting, chatting with native speakers, or trying to get that top score, you have to master these.
Right.
But, and this is a big but, we know the roadblock. So many of you probably feel completely overwhelmed. You're just staring at these huge lists of idioms, and you're not sure which ones people actually use or how to use them correctly.
Or how to pronounce them.
Yes, how to say them without sounding, well, completely ridiculous.
That anxiety is so real. It's like you're navigating an ocean of phrases, and you have no idea which boat to get on. You don't know where to put your time and energy.
And that is precisely why we're here. We want to welcome you right now to this deep dive, your accelerated shortcut to mastering those essential, flexible phrases on the English Learning Podcast.
Yeah, we're taking that huge challenge and we're just breaking it down. Our mission today is to go way beyond just giving you a simple list. We want to give you deep context, specific situations to use them in, and, this is critical, the pronunciation and intonation tips.
Oh, the things that make the difference.
Exactly. The difference between an idiom that lands flat and one that adds real color. And we've structured this around phrases you can use for any topic, giving an opinion, sharing what you like, or describing quality.
We want to give you the exact toolkit that fluent communicators, journalists, news anchors, commentators use every single day. Let's get you from passively knowing English to actively mastering it.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's start unpacking this whole journey into idiom mastery. And we have to begin with the foundational rules.
Yes.
Because there's one really common, almost disastrous mistake that learners make right away, and it's all about how often you use them.
That is the absolute first thing to address. And the best way to explain it is with an analogy. Think of idioms like the salt and pepper.
The spice.
Exactly, the spice of your spoken English. They are the flavor, but they are absolutely not the main dish.
That is such a crucial distinction. You wouldn't cover your meal in so much salt that you couldn't eat it, right?
Right.
You still want to taste the food itself.
Precisely. Over-seasoning ruins the meal.
Yeah.
Overusing idioms ruins your speech. The goal has to be measured application.
Sparingly.
You use them sparingly. You just pepper them into your speech for that little bit of emphasis or color. If I hear someone try to force, 5 idioms into a 1-minute answer,
Oh, it sounds so unnatural.
it immediately sounds like they're reading from a script. It's robotic.
Yeah.
You want to enhance your speech, not create confusion.
So quality over quantity. Every time. Which brings us to the best way to actually learn them. Because trying to memorize a list of 20 or 30 idioms at once,
Yeah.
it just doesn't work.
It fails. It
Oh.
fails because when you memorize a phrase from a list, you're missing 2 vital things. First, you have no context. You don't know when or with whom you should use it. And second, and maybe this is more important, you miss the stress and the intonation. You don't know how it's supposed to sound.
You need that living context.
You do.
So if trying to cram them all in at once is out, what's the sustainable daily approach, the English diet you mentioned?
We recommend learning maybe just one new idiom or one new complex expression every single day.
Just one.
Just one. It keeps it manageable, it keeps the anxiety down, and it means you can actually focus on practicing that single phrase really well.
And how do we find that perfect one a day? Where do we get it from?
The best way, by far, is to actively listen for them when you're consuming real English content.
Watching a movie or...
Exactly. Watching a film, reading an article, or listening to a deep dive like this one. When you hear it used naturally in a real situation, you instantly get the context you need.
Right.
And that context is what makes it stick in your brain. It's so much more effective than just memorizing a definition.
I see the difference. If I read in a book, trying to fix the car was like trying to herd cats, I instantly get that feeling of chaos and impossibility.
Yes.
That's way better than a dictionary saying, to herd cats, an impossible task. The context links the emotion to the phrase.
Exactly. And that brings us to the next critical point, and it's the one that so many learners overlook. Pronunciation, word stress, rhythm, the whole intonation.
Why does that matter so much more for idioms than, say, a normal vocabulary word?
Because idioms are, well, they're not literal. They're metaphors. They're shortcuts. If I say the word aeroplane, the meaning is direct. But if I say an expression like, I'm in two minds about this, and I say it flatly or I stress the wrong word,
The listener gets confused.
they might get stuck on the literal meaning for a second, like two actual brains instead of the idiomatic meaning, which is indecision. Getting the stress and the rhythm spot on is the signal to your listener and says, hey, I'm speaking metaphorically now. Listen for the implied meaning.
The cadence is the linguistic flag. It says, here comes the flavor.
Yes, if you don't wave that flag properly, they might miss it completely. The nuance is everything. You have to sound confident.
Right. This is why practice, especially with feedback, is so important, and we will definitely come back to that later. Okay. Before we make that jump and start tackling our first set of highly flexible idioms, the ones you can genuinely use in almost any conversation, we need a brief conversational moment. If you are finding this intensive deep dive useful, if you've already internalized that salt and pepper idea and you're committing to that one idiom a day strategy, please take just a moment right now to like, share, and subscribe to the deep dive. Your engagement is what allows us to keep bringing this level of targeted, essential knowledge to learners all around the globe. Thank you.
Welcome back. Okay, let's start with a section every advanced speaker has to master. Flexible idioms for expressing opinions. These are your high utility phrases that instantly replace the maybe slightly boring, I think that, or, in my opinion, the goal here is variety and authority. We want to start with phrases that establish a clear position without, overcomplicating it.
The first one is incredibly common. You hear it everywhere, from work meetings to casual chats. My take on this is...
This is just a perfect, concise replacement for my opinion is.
Yeah.
It implies you've thought about it, and this is your interpretation. For example, in a discussion about, say, rising housing costs, you could say, my take on this is that governments need to increase housing density.
That feels much more authoritative than just saying, I think we should increase density. And the usage tip here is so important for delivery. You want to stress the...
Absolutely. The stress on my take on this does two things. First, it emphasizes this is your personal view. You're owning it.
Right.
And second, it naturally signals to the listener that the idiom is starting. It's like a little conversational highlight.
Okay. A slightly longer, maybe a little more formal or reflective one we hear a lot is, to my way of thinking.
Oh, this one's beautiful. It implies you have a structured thought process. It's not just a random idea. It suggests there's a certain philosophy behind what you're saying.
Not a literal path you walk down.
Exactly. And you're signaling that your belief is based on, a system of thought. And for fluency, it's crucial to connect the words to my way of thinking.
Right.
For example.
Yeah.
To my way of thinking, prioritizing conservation over immediate economic gain is the only sustainable policy. You need it to flow.
Now, what about those complex topics where you genuinely aren't sure? You have to express that indecision or a balanced view. This is where some of the best visual idioms come in.
Indecision is a really important part of any advanced discussion, and we've got two great options here. The first is very intuitive. I'm in two minds about this.
I love how clear that is. You're literally holding two different opposing opinions at the same time.
And you often use this right before you explain both sides. Like if someone asks about a friend's career change, I'm two minds about her quitting her job. On the one hand, she needs a challenge. On the other hand, stability is so important.
It sets up that internal debate perfectly. And the second one that captures that same feeling is another great visual analogy. I'm on the fence about this.
This one is universally understood. You could just picture a literal fence.
Yeah.
And you're sitting on top, not leaning to one side or the other. You haven't committed.
It's perfect for discussing controversial topics. Like new technology. I'm on the fence about this. The creativity is amazing, but the potential for abuse is frightening.
And this is a perfect chance to practice that stress we talked about earlier. To emphasize that state of being undecided, you stress the preposition on. I'm on the fence.
You're stressing that you're on the barrier. So it's not, I'm on the fence, but I'm on the fence.
Exactly. It signals your neutrality before you even state the two sides.
Is that one too informal for, say, a more academic setting?
That's a great question. While it's a little informal, it's used so commonly in natural speech, even in very educated settings, that it wouldn't sound unprofessional at all. It's just very accessible. It's definitely fine for any kind of speaking exam.
Good to know. Okay, so moving from doubt to maybe the most important skill in analysis, getting to the core of a complex issue. How do we say this is the most important part, idiomatically?
We use the fantastic phrasal verb. It boils down to something.
And the origin of this one from cooking is so satisfying.
It really is. If you're making a sauce, you boil it for a long time, the water evaporates, and you're left with just the concentrated essential ingredients, the core flavor.
So when we say it boils down to, we mean after you strip everything else away, this is the essential part.
Precisely. Take a big debate about healthcare policy. You could talk about costs, access, politics, and then conclude, ultimately, it all boils down to one thing: accessibility for everyone.
Or, even simpler, when you look at why so many startups fail, it often boils down to money.
And notice the stress there. It falls on, boils down. That's the key action. It boils down to money. This whole set of phrases, my take on the fence, boils down to they are so flexible because nearly every question asks you for an opinion or a summary.
Right. Master these and you're ready for most high-level conversations. Okay, let's move now from analytical opinions to the more personal side of things: preferences, indifference, and confusion.
3 very different emotional states, starting with strong likes.
For this, we need an idiom that says it's the best, but has some real personality. So let's use one that's a bit old-fashioned, but still perfectly clear. It's the bee's knees.
Meaning it is just exceptionally good, the best quality.
Using it adds a bit of, playful charm to your speech.
It does, but we have to talk about the application constraint here, because this is where learners can slip up.
Okay.
This expression is usually used for singular nouns or a very specific noun phrase.
So I can't say, I love all sports, they are the bee's knees.
It just doesn't sound right with the plural they. You're praising one specific thing, so you can say, that new restaurant downtown, it's the bee's knees. Or, for me, going to the countryside, that is the bee's knees.
That's great advice. It forces you to be specific. So instead of trees are the bee's knees, I should say, spending a weekend hiking in the mountains, now that is the bee's knees.
Exactly. It shows much better control. And for pronunciation, make sure you hit that long I vowel sound in both bees and knees.
Okay, moving to the middle. What if you're just completely neutral? You don't love it, you don't hate it.
And that's where we use I can take it or leave it.
So simple, so common. It just means I don't really mind either way.
It's perfect for things like food or weather or routine hobbies. Do you enjoy cooking? I can take it or leave it.
Right.
And here's a little fluency tip. The phrase is naturally built for a tiny pause at the word or. I can take it, pause or leave it. It helps you break it into 2 fluent chunks.
For the opposite end, strong dislike, but saying it politely. And we almost always use this one in the negative. It's not my cup of tea.
This is one of the most classic British English idioms, but Americans use it too. It just means it's something you don't like. And it's so useful because it avoids sounding harsh.
Yeah. Saying, I hate this can be a bit much.
Right. But saying rugby? Nah, it's not my cup of tea. Just politely distances you from it. It's about personal taste, not a universal judgment.
That's a great distinction. Okay, let's pivot to confusion. We've all been there, right? Staring at a complex subject and just not getting it.
And admitting that is a sign of intelligence. The first phrase is brilliantly visual. I can't make head or tail of it.
Meaning the information is so jumbled you can't even figure out where it begins or where it ends?
Exactly. Like you can't tell the head from the tail of an animal. You could say, I've read this new policy document 3 times, but I can't make head or tail of the rules.
And you mentioned a regional difference here.
I did. In British English, it's often singular, head or tail. In American English, you'll often hear the plural. I can't make heads or tails of it.
But both are fine.
Both are perfectly fine, totally understood.
Okay. And the second phrase for being confused is also physical, but it's more about the mind. I can't get my head around it.
So to get your head around something means you fully understand it, you grasp it. So if you can't get your head around it, the concept is just too big or too complex or maybe too strange to fully comprehend.
Can you give us an example?
Sure. Think about something like modern art. You could say, I appreciate this skill, but I just can't get my head around modern art. It looks like nonsense to me.
Right.
It signals that the problem isn't a lack of trying. It's a failure to comprehend the complexity. It makes you sound honest and articulate, not just lost.
And for these, we want to stress the action words, right? I can't make head or tail of it, and I can't get my head around it.
Exactly. The stress emphasizes the act of trying to understand.
All right, section 4. This is all about describing quality. The people, the places, the things in our lives. We're trying to move beyond just saying good, bad, or normal.
We want to add some real descriptive flair. And let's start with how you introduce a subject. We can use a powerful phrase to elevate it right from the start. None other than.
So traditionally, this is used when the person you're introducing is a surprise or, a celebrity.
The guest tonight is none other than the president. You're building suspense.
Right.
But here's the clever trick for the advanced English speaker, especially in an exam.
Okay.
Since the examiner listening to you doesn't know your family or your friends or your old teachers, any person you introduce is technically a surprise to them.
Oh, that's a fantastic rhetorical hack.
It is.
So I can use this powerful, uncommon phrase to talk about my grandmother.
Precisely. You're giving weight to your subject. The person who taught me the value of persistence was none other than my primary school English teacher. It adds immediate dramatic flair.
I love that. And for pronunciation, you want to link the words together smoothly. None other than.
Exactly. Now let's dive into describing things that are exceptionally good, the absolute best. We have a great cluster of idioms here you can use interchangeably.
For people, places, things.
All of them, starting with one that implies there's no debate. Hands down the best.
The image is of someone dropping their hands, like in a fight, showing they're not challenging it anymore.
Right. It's definitive. Hands down, the best coffee in the city is from that little shop around the corner.
Then we have a slightly more formal, but just as strong option, second to none.
This just means it's unparalleled. Nothing else even comes close. You often hear this used for services or organizations. Their customer service is second to none.
And a similar one that implies a clear hierarchy is a cut above the rest.
This suggests a visible, measurable difference in quality. It's clearly superior to the competition. Think about tech products. The battery life on this phone is genuinely a cut above the rest.
And finally, a really lovely, warm way to talk about a person you admire. I think the world of someone.
This communicates such deep admiration and respect. I think the world of my mentor. Her guidance has been invaluable.
And the beauty here is the flexibility. You can swap these 4 around for almost any positive description and instantly sound more sophisticated than just saying, very good.
But most things in life are not second to none. Most things are just ordinary. So how do we describe that without sounding boring?
We use the fantastic idiom, run-of-the-mill.
Meaning ordinary, generic, nothing special. It came from manufacturing, where grain straight from the mill was just the standard ungraded product.
So it's a sophisticated way to say average.
Exactly. We saw a movie last night, but it was just a run-of-the-mill action film. Or the restaurant was fine, but a bit run-of-the-mill. And be sure to stress the first word, run-of-the-mill.
Okay, finally, comparison. Specifically, when something is clearly worse than something else. These are great for critical thinking tasks.
The first one is really evocative. It's not a patch on something else.
Meaning it's just not as good, it can't even compare.
Right. The image is that the inferior thing is only good enough to be a small patch on the superior one. You hear it all the time when comparing a new version to a classic. The new software has some cool features, but it's not a patch on the old version for stability.
Or the classic. The film was okay, but it's not a patch on the book.
Always. And a similar idiom, which is maybe even stronger, is it can't hold a candle to something else.
This implies a huge gap in quality. It's not even in the same league.
And the history behind it is fascinating. Before electricity, if a master craftsman was working, his apprentice would just stand there, holding a candle so the master could see.
Right.
The apprentice was so inferior in skill, the only thing he could do was provide light. He couldn't compete. So if something can't hold a candle to something else, it's not even at the level of the apprentice.
That history gives it so much weight.
It does.
So I could say, Manchester is a great city, but for historical significance, it just can't hold a candle to London.
And that phrase communicates the difference in status so vividly, without needing a long explanation. These comparison idioms are just invaluable.
We spend a lot of time on how to learn these phrases and when to use them. But, as we said at the start, This whole thing falls apart if you don't master the specific stress, the cadence, the intonation.
That is the one hurdle that just reading definitions can never get you over.
Yeah.
You can know what "I'm on the fence" means, but if you say it flatly, the metaphor just doesn't land. Your fluency is undermined.
And when you're learning by yourself, late at night or practicing in the car, it is almost impossible to get that pronunciation right without some kind of immediate expert feedback.
You need to know if you're stressing the right word or if your vowel sound is just a little bit off.
Right. You need that immediate personalized feedback loop.
You do.
Which brings us to a tool that is really highly rated for tackling this exact problem, the IELTS Speak mobile app.
What makes it so effective is the technology. You need something that can listen to you with surgical precision.
So what is it about the IELTS Speak app that makes it so good for practicing these idioms where all that subtlety really matters?
It's the AI. At its core, it uses cutting-edge artificial intelligence for voice recognition. And crucially, unlike a lot of older tools that just say wrong, ELSA can pinpoint exactly where the mistake happened.
Okay, so walk me through an example. Let's say I'm practicing "it's the bee's knees," and I pronounce bees with a short two sound, like biz, instead of the long I sound. What happens?
The app gives you instant feedback. It will literally highlight that specific vowel sound that you got wrong.
So it shows you the shape of your mistake.
Exactly. Then it models the correct native pronunciation, and you can just repeat it at your own pace, focusing only on fixing that one tiny error.
That cycle, hearing it, repeating it, getting specific feedback, and trying again until the AI says you've improved, that's exactly what you need for idioms. You have to build that cadence into your muscle memory.
And it's not just a generic pronunciation tool. The app has thousands of study sets, including specific topics for IELTS exam prep part 1, 2, and 3. You can actually find and practice the very phrases we've talked about today, like "I'm in two minds" or "it's not my cup of tea."
So it lets you build that one idiom a day habit directly into your routine, building both the vocabulary and the perfect pronunciation at the same time.
It's a total game changer. It turns passive learning into active, targeted practice.
And for those of you listening who can see how valuable this would be, we should mention the discounts that are available right now.
We should. For anyone looking for immediate improvement, there's a big 30% discount off the one-year membership, which is already a fantastic deal. But for learners who are really committed to long-term fluency, the lifetime membership discount is just extraordinary.
How significant is it?
It is an 80%, that's 80% discount on the lifetime membership.
Wow.
It means you get access to this incredibly powerful AI feedback tool forever.
80% off. I mean, that's basically keeping a personal pronunciation coach in your pocket for the rest of your life. It's a foundational investment in how you speak English.
It really is. It shifts you from being anxious about making a mistake to being confident you'll deliver it perfectly.
So this entire deep dive has been about unlocking the power of these flexible, high-utility idioms. We've gone from establishing an opinion with "my take on this is" to expressing indecision with "I'm on the fence," and all the way to declaring something as second to none.
And the crucial takeaway, we have to say it again, is that the goal is not to master hundreds of these overnight.
Oh.
The mission is sustainable. It's deliberate. It's about slowly building this authentic base of expressions, adding maybe just one new idiom a day into your routine.
And the ultimate purpose here is confidence. It's about being able to move confidently and be recognized as a fluent English speaker instead of feeling stuck as an English student.
We really get that this journey is tough. Learning a language, especially these subtleties, it takes a lot of persistence. You're going to have moments of self-doubt.
Of course.
But please remember this. Progress is inevitable when you commit to that consistent, targeted daily practice. Just keep showing up for your learning. You are actively building this skill day by day.
And as we finish up, don't ever forget how important that stress and intonation is. If you want that personalized, instant AI feedback to make sure you're getting it right, definitely check out the IELTS Speak app. Take advantage of those discounts we mentioned.
Thank you so much for joining us and trusting us to guide you through this deep dive.
And finally, because idioms are what add that real color and personality to speech, here is your provocative thought for the week. Take an idiom we discussed today and try to use it when you're summarizing a complex or serious news story you've recently read. Focus completely on getting the stress and intonation perfect so that the metaphor, the humor, or the color lands exactly right in the mind of whoever's listening.
Until next time, keep diving deep into the language.
And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to The Deep Dive. We'll see you soon.